just wanted to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy Tuesday to join us on this webinar. We'll be discussing the Master of Management, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the MMIE program here at Smith School of Business, Queen's University. My name is Connor McCann, and I'm the Associate Director of the MMIE program. Over the next hour or so, we're going to provide some administrative information about the program. We're going to hear from a recent alumna, and then we're also going to provide an overview of the application process that those of you who are interested in proceeding with an application kind of know what that pertains and what that consists of. So before we get started with the presentation, a couple of matters of housekeeping here. Anyone who registered for the webinar will receive a recording of it emailed to them directly over the next 48 hours or so. So if you're on the call with us now and you're not able to stay right through to the very end, we will make sure that you get the full recording emailed to you within the next day or so. We do want the session to be as interactive as possible. So if you think of any questions over any point of the presentation, please don't hesitate to type those questions into the Q&A function. You should have a horizontal bar, likely at the top or the bottom of your screen, and there should be a Q&A button. If you click that, it'll launch a little mini window, and you can type your questions into that Q&A chat function. If you have questions for Uliana, who's our alumni supporter today, please type those questions in, and we'd be happy to relay those questions on to Uliana so you can engage with her directly. And any other questions about the program, the schedule, the application process, anything else that we discuss, please do type them into the chat. We will be busy on the back end answering questions in the chat as they arise, and we'll also save time at the end of the webinar for more of a dedicated Q&A. So we will be sure to get to all the questions by the end of the webinar. Just don't feel like you need to save them to the end because we won't be able to address some of them as we work our way through the presentation here. So just to quickly introduce our team, some of which are supporting us on the webinar today. Again, my name is Connor McCann. I'm the Associate Director for the program. James Davis is the Program Manager. So he's the individual who works probably the most closely and the most consistent with students once they become enrolled with the program, helping them with everything leading up to the launch of the program, as well as navigating them through the 12-month delivery of the program once it does start in August. We're also joined by Beth McKellum, who's someone that some of you on the webinar might be familiar with already. If you've engaged in a dialogue, asked a couple questions, or if you've started your application to the program, you've certainly been in touch with Beth McKellum. She guides all of our applicants throughout the application process. And Colin Snyder is another name that might be familiar to those of you on the webinar. He does higher level recruitment advising for the program, so engages with inquiries and answers questions as they come up and helps them kind of qualify whether the MMIE is the right program for them. So this is our team, and we are supported directly today by Beth. So I appreciate Beth hopping on here, and she's going to take over towards the end of the presentation to provide that overview of the application process. But I'm sure that the reason that most of you joined the webinar today is to hear directly from one of our incredible alumnus, and this is Uliana, who will be joining us on the webinar today. So Uliana, she's an entrepreneur. She's done a lot of cool stuff. I'll let her kind of introduce herself formally, but she is a very recent alumna of the program. She graduated in the fall of last year, so she would have started in August of 2023 and then graduated from the program in the fall of 2024. So Uliana, I have just your name and your current professional title on the slide here, but if you could give the audience members, just as a background, some information as to your professional educational experiences leading up to your time in the program, that would be great to start us off. And thanks again for joining and supporting today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's actually wonderful to participate in one of the seminars, when I've been in the other position watching them before. So my name is Uliana Callan. Everyone can find me on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me and talk to me directly afterwards, I would be happy to. I have about more than 20 years experience in technology. On the corporate side, I've worked for companies such as Rogers, Yellow Pages, Google, and Nest, where I actually led technology development, more from a business development and marketing and product management across multiple different industries. I've also started my own nonprofit organization somewhere in 2010 that actually took me from a digital media background into clean tech. And I did a lot of government relations. And then recently, the reason for which I actually ended up joining the MMIE program is I decided to launch a venture in an educational technology space based on my personal experience with a daughter who has a learning disability. And I thought the program would be really the right setting to allow me to work on my idea in a community that was like-minded and with professors and other students who could really support me. So, and that's what I'm actually working. I am the owner of Laxa Venture, and Laxa Venture is a sort of an investment management company. And under that, I'm actually working on a stealth business venture at this point, tech venture for helping children with learning disabilities.
Amazing. Thanks for that introduction, Juliana. So focusing on our audience, many of them are probably interested in the MMI program at a high level. Some of them might have already started their application, might be further along the application process. But if you could just harken back to when you decided to formally apply for the program, what went into that decision? What mix within the value proposition that is the MMIE program spoke the most to you? And really, what was that thing that at the end of the day prompted you to start your application and get in touch with Beth and begin that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say in about 2020, I decided to leave my corporate job at Google and focus more on launching tech ventures by myself. And I researched to see, are there any master's program that focus on innovation and entrepreneurship that I can easily attend? And it came on my radar at that time, but I wasn't ready. And then every year I checked a little bit to see what happened to the program. In the meantime, as I said, I do have quite a lot of work experience. I joined an incubator and tech incubator, and I found that the venture idea that I wanted to work on, because it sat at the intersection of social entrepreneurship, and it was in ed tech, it wasn't something that a lot of the venture capital firms would be focused on, especially the more specific tech incubators. And after the 3 months experience in 2023 with that, I realized that I really wanted to go back to an education program where I would be focused on my idea, but I would be supported by a professor. I would be supported by an ecosystem that their vested interest is in my success, as opposed to, for instance, with the incubator, which ultimately was run by a venture capital firm who wanted to invest in an idea. So it's very different. And I started to research. I actually applied quite late in the program. I reached out to Beth, who responded to me right away within a day. And she was so supportive. And everybody that I talked to were so supportive to make sure not only that the program is the right fit for me, as I said, I had quite a lot of work experience, but also the right fit for them. And after we had a few meetings and I looked at 2 other programs, I decided to do the MMIE program. And I'm 100% very happy that I did it. And I would add, I have another master's at the beginning of my career. When I graduated from my university, I'm from Romania originally, I came to do a master's program. I obtained a scholarship at a master's in the States, which was in communications. And after that, I had a business experience working. So it was interesting to kind of go back to do something more rigorous in business after I had work experience, and also interesting to see how it is to go back to school after you have real work experience, because it really actually puts it makes you learn more in depth and appreciate what you learn more.
Yeah, I'm glad that you finished with that point. Juliana, we really try to frame the MMIE program as one that sits at the intersection of academic thought leadership and practical skill development. So of course, we want to pull insights from research, but we want to arm our students with those insights, whether it's a model, a framework, or theory, in a way that's very applicable and that they can then apply immediately to a business example, or that they can think about their prior experience and help that kind of color in their learning. That's why it's great to have students in the program with experience such as yourself, and that is why it's a requirement of the program to create an environment where students almost learn from each other as much as they learn from the faculty and from the various content that we deliver to them.
Absolutely. And I'd say, like, I remember in my first program when I did, and I was really like just 23, 24 when I did my first master, I was shocked to see adult students who had, like, people who had careers and they actually went back to school, and I learned a lot from them. So it was good for me to kind of go back and learn. But I would say the other thing that is excellent about this program, it really does allow you to continue to have a job if you want, to continue to do what you're doing. That flexibility for an innovation entrepreneurship program is unique. I haven't seen it at any other programs that may exist in Canada.
Yeah, and it's another great feature of the program, and one that we'll provide more detail on later on in the presentation. This idea that the program is kind of earn and learn, professional part-time program, so it can taken in conjunction with a full-time career. And many of our students are working full-time, and they take full advantage of that flexibility, which from your perspective just means that you're not foregoing a year's worth of salary to participate in the program. So there's kind of a benefit with regards to
100%, yeah.
opportunity cost there. Yeah, yeah. Well, we were chatting a little bit before the webinar, and I didn't know that Beth was your application advisor when you applied for the program about 2 years ago. So this is kind of one of those beautiful full circle moments where about 2 years ago you engaged with Beth initially, and now here you are, fast forward a couple of years, and you're kind of presenting and speaking about your experience in the program as an alumnus, which is incredible. When Beth and I engage with applicants and inquiries, and certainly a theme that I always bring up within the interview is this idea of return on investment, and really just making sure that students entering the program have a realistic grasp of their expectations. And if ever from a program leadership standpoint, we think that someone's expectations might not be realistic or might not be met by the program, that will kind of give us pause and have us review their application a little bit more closely. So it sounds, Juliana, based on your previous answer, that you had a very clear set of expectations coming into the program, which is great, and it's something we encourage all of our applicants and students to have. But now, 6-7 months out of the program, I'm wondering if, with the benefit of hindsight, if you can really look back and speak to how those expectations were met in some cases, maybe they were exceeded in others, and if there's any areas where the program failed to meet your expectations. I just think that would be beneficial for this audience to hear a little bit more about.
Okay, absolutely. The expectations that I had coming into the program were actually exceeded. What I came with was I have this overall business idea, and it's a little nebulous at this point, and I would like to be able to work on it and really finalize it and go through the discovery and even do the research if that's the case. But surrounded with a group of people and professors and students are actually quite supportive. And I found that I absolutely did that. So in my case, because I had a very clear idea, and you could have that as a, for instance, innovator within a company. If you work for a company and you wanted to explore a particular project that maybe you would be interested in kind of getting into and will take your career further, you could take that into the program. And I'm speaking now to the students here. And literally for each course, you have some team assignments, but you also have individual assignments. For each course, when I had an individual assignment, I worked on my business idea. So by the time that, or it could be innovation project. So by the time I actually came out of it, I have a full developed business plan with research, over 100 people that I talked to, which is basically the kind of the work that you put 1 or 2 years. Actually, it's more of a 2-year type of time framework that you put to develop any innovation project or venture. And it was excellent. I would say I was very happy. I've talked to other people who've joined the program, and some people wanted to go more in depth in one subject versus the other. Really, the goal of this program is to equip you with the skills, the network, the contacts, and the confidence to tackle a whole business idea, either within a company or on your own, or like a nonprofit, from all the different aspects, from how do you do the discovery, how do you research, what's the marketing plan, what's technology, what's the product, what's the financial. So it's not necessarily designed to go in depth in each of one of them, although you could explore, but it equips you with that overall skill set to create new value. And I thought that was highly useful. Some people wanted maybe more in finance, so then that would be a different discussion.
Of course, and the program is designed in a way to be flexible. I mean, the program is so many different things to so many different students. And once you sign off, Elena, we're going to kind of talk about some of the buckets of just profiles and archetypes that we see, broadly speaking, coming into the program, and how various students can take advantage of the program. But that flexibility is baked in. So it does provide students the opportunity to kind of define what their experience will be. And then we work with them very closely to ensure that they get the most value out of the experience, which might be a good question for me just to finish on. It's a question I get all the time in interviews, and I'm sure it's a question that Beth fields quite a lot in her engagements with applicants as well, is if a student is entering the program, what can a student do, whether it's mindset, preparation, to get the most value out of the program? And I can do my best to answer that from engagements that I have with different students and different alumni. But based on your experience, if you could kind of rewind 18 months and give yourself advice entering into the program, like what's a few things that you could do to put yourself in the best position to succeed in the program, and at the end of the day get the most value out of it?
Absolutely. I'd say be completely open-minded to what you can learn and kind of what direction you take in the program while keeping your goal in mind. The first semester of the program, it's a lot about learning about yourself, because when you actually do the skill set in terms of what the practical application and also who you are, what are you trying to do, what are you bringing to the table? If you are leading a team, what's your skill set versus the other team member? In the first kind of part of the program, first semester, there's a lot about the innovation and entrepreneurial mindset, which actually is highly important. And if someone who worked in the when you have a real job, you don't have time to do this. You may do it when you go home and you want to do this different kind of personality test. But here the program forces you to think, and then after that you go into the application. So I'd say open yourself to that. Also have the goal in mind. And also reach out to professors. Everybody really is willing to help you. One thing that I think this program, and I'll be honest with you, when I applied, I was looking at this and I was looking at University of Pennsylvania. And I got accepted at University of Pennsylvania. It wasn't an educational entrepreneurship, but I found that I was a number there. I was a number, part of a lot of other students. And that personal touch that Beth was able to give me, and then all the other professors, and then like Marianne, for instance, or James, it's quite unique because it allows you to make the best out of it. And it's very important. I don't know if we have any international students now, but it's very important for international students because you sort of, the program helps you navigate this new world.
Yeah, I mean, we still do accept international students, and they're a very important contingent of the program. And I appreciate you saying that, Juliana. We put a lot of emphasis on customer service, student service, service to our applicants, and that obviously, from an organizational standpoint, that comes with a fairly big investment from the university. So it's always very affirming for us to hear that approach resonate, and that approach drives value and delivers value to students, because we do put people like Beth and James and Colin and Marianne in positions to work directly with students and to support them directly. And that's, I think maybe something that sets Queen's apart from other universities and other programs. So again, it's just really nice to hear that does resonate with students at the end of the day.
100%. And that's, as we haven't rehearsed. This is me honestly saying that. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. So I know, Juliana, you're very busy. Again, we appreciate you taking the time in your day to support us. Towards the beginning of your presentation, you did mention that you would be open to anyone reaching out to you on LinkedIn if they had any questions about the program or wanted to connect to learn more about experience. So that offer is still on the table to our virtual audience members?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, incredible. We just want to thank you again for taking the time. Encourage our virtual audience members to reach out directly to Juliana. It doesn't look like we had any questions from the audience today. But please don't hesitate to reach out and engage with Juliana directly. And I just want to thank you again in closing here, Juliana.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to reconnect.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the beginning, now we're just going to spend maybe another 15 or 20 minutes and guide the audience through just some other elements of the program delivery, kind of who the program is intended for. And then I'm going to pass it over to Beth in a few minutes, who will give more of an overview of the application process and some of the financing scholarship opportunities that are available as well. So this is great because we can kind of just pick up where we left off with our conversation with Juliana. And I think it's nice to start with this broad question: what will you learn in the MMIE program? And as Juliana mentioned, what you'll learn will be a function of what you want to learn, because there is that flexibility built in to the program where students kind of design their own experience within the program. But at a high level, this is an innovation program. So we're teaching students how to lead innovation, whether that's internal to a pre-existing organization or whether that's driving innovation through a startup or an entrepreneurial venture that a student might have. Part of innovating is identifying the right opportunities and quantifying those opportunities. So before we encourage students to go and build the next new widget, we want them to conduct the right research and to conduct the right analysis to be able to confidently assert that the opportunity that they're chasing down, that widget that they're going to design actually fills a need in the market and will help them achieve whatever their goals are, whether those are social impact goals, corporate goals, or goals within the startup ecosystem. So it's about leading innovation, identifying the right opportunities to pursue as a starting point. And then once you have identified that right opportunity, the one that makes sense, that you've done the analysis around, have the tactical skills to be able to launch, manage, and scale that venture. So at a high level, that's what we try to teach within the MMIE program, and it's all grounded on the foundation of innovation. So this brings us to some archetypes for students that we see within the program. And of course, these aren't overly prescriptive, and someone like Juliana would kind of operate across multiple of these archetypes. But for those in the audience, it might be helpful to kind of see the types of students at broad strokes that we do recruit into the program. So this is very much a program for entrepreneurs. So those who have a business, have a startup, and they're maybe looking to leverage the program to help them quantify or qualify the idea that they have a little bit more, or help them to scale the venture that they've already gotten off the ground. So that's certainly one archetype that we see, entrepreneurs who want to leverage the program to kind of grow something that they've already started. We also see corporate innovators or intrapreneurs, those who work within a pre-existing organizational structure. It could be a big bank, an insurance company, really anywhere across the sector. And they're really interested in identifying opportunities for innovation within a larger organizational structure, and then being able to actually achieve that innovation. So we do have students in the program who come from industry and they want to remain in industry. They want to continue working for their organization or another organization in the same sector, or an organization in a different sector, but they really want to lead with innovation internal to their organization. We have social innovators. So not all entrepreneurial and innovative ventures are, at the end of the day, designed to make money. Some students are aspiring social innovators, so they want to identify and enact positive societal change. It could be in an area that they're interested in, like the environment or women's rights, minorities' rights, and they're really just looking for opportunities to innovate socially. And we do have a handful of students every year who are driven by that social innovation mindset. So the program certainly opens its doors to students of that archetype and of that desire. The fourth category would be the Julianas of the world, and it's maybe difficult to categorize the adventurers, but Juliana was someone who came from a corporate background. She worked in tech, worked for Google, but she was really thinking about innovating and starting her own company. So for her, the program is an opportunity to leverage her corporate experience and to maybe transition into more of an entrepreneurial role, which is something that she's been able to do successfully. So she was someone who didn't know exactly what the program would look like when she came into it, but she obviously had the right motivations. She had those sets of expectations, and she's someone who was able to kind of navigate and land somewhere where she's very happy to be right now. So she's more of an adventurer. So again, we don't put everyone into these buckets. They're more just to help provide the audience with some references as to the types of profiles and the types of archetypes that we see coming into the program. So key success drivers for the MMIE program, there's so much nuance and so much diversity when it comes to the program, the experience. But if we were to distill everything that we offer within the program, these are some of the key success drivers. So customized learning journey, and that's a theme that we've already touched upon a few times. How the program is what students make it. Of course, everyone needs to do the bare minimum. They need to conduct the readings and go to class and work on the assignments. But around that, there is a lot of flexibility in what you decide you want to focus your capstone on, how you want to leverage the networking opportunities and the career support that come as a support of the program as well. So there is really a lot of flexibility. A lot of the content that we deliver when we're not in one of the 3 bootcamp sessions is delivered in an asynchronous fashion, so that students can kind of decide what time works best for them to actually work on the content that is available to them in an asynchronous fashion. So if you're someone who likes to wake up extra early, do a few hours of schoolwork before you go to your job, if you're someone who likes to work in the evening, if you're someone who maybe just wants to take the full weekend to focus on your schoolwork, the program by and large does provide a lot of that flexibility so that you can decide for yourself how it will fit with your personal and professional schedule. But of course, with great power comes great responsibility. We do give students a lot of latitude to decide how they want to navigate their way through the program, but it's up to them to take ownership of that responsibility and still ensure that they're putting the work in to get the most value out of the program experience. Effective integration of theory and practice. Again, this is kind of this idea of the program sitting at the intersection of academic thought leadership and practical skill development. That is in the content that we teach and how we teach the content. It comes from research, but it's taught in a very application-focused way. When you look at the faculty for the program, it's a mix of PhD researchers and adjunct faculty members. So we have a lot of faculty members who teach on the program who are also working full-time, who innovate themselves. And a lot of our researchers have actually launched their own ventures and been very successful in an entrepreneurial way as well. So you're learning from professors, adjunct professors, researchers, tenured faculty members who have actually done it. They talk the talk, but they've also walked the walk. And from a networking standpoint, that means that you get to add some of these great entrepreneurs, some of these great thought leaders to your network just by virtue of being in the program and interacting with your faculty through the completion of the courses. We have a very strong coaching culture within not only the MMIE program, but widely across the Smith School of Business. All of our professional graduate programs do have a large coaching element. For MMIE students specifically, that coaching comes in a couple of different forms. We have a full service of career coaches that operate within our Career Advancement Center. So students can partner with a career coach and help navigate their own career goals while they're in the program or as an alumnus once they graduate from the program. There's also a lot of coaching that takes place just in that relationship and the rapport that students build with their faculty members. So faculty members will have office hours, lots of opportunity, open door policy, so that students can kind of take on almost more of a mentor-mentee role with their faculty members and not just the unilateral delivery of academic content. Each MMI student is also assigned their own project advisor. So towards the latter half of the program, we start to transition more into the capstone project, which is an opportunity for students to apply everything that they learn in the program to a culminating project. And we assign each student with an industry advisor to really help them navigate that project and to get the most value out of it as well. Juliana mentioned the diversity within the class, and that's something that we take very seriously. And from Beth's perspective, it's something that actually informs our recruitment. We're always looking at the diversity of the class, always looking for ways to add more diversity. If you were to look at the current class cohort, that diversity plays out in many different ways. I think the age range is anywhere from 23 or 24 all the way up to midway in mid-50s. So lots of diversity when it comes to the years of experience that students have. With regards to the area of undergraduate study, so I think there's probably 30 different undergraduate areas that our current students have studied cumulatively. The professional experiences that those students have very different as well. So people really represent every corner of the business world, both Canadian and international. And it's probably important to end on the international piece. I think we have 16 or 17 different nationalities represented within the current MMI student cohort. So lots of diversity. And just saying that the program is diverse and patting ourselves on the back, that's one thing. But what that diversity means for students is that you're put in a position to learn from very motivated, like-minded individuals in some aspects, and that they're driven and they're really looking to kind of further their careers, but who have very different experience and backgrounds very different from yourself, which means that you're in a position to learn a lot from your teammates and from your classmates across the broader program. So that diversity really, at the end of the day, gives additional value to the students who are navigating their way through the program. Because the MMIE program is housed within Queen's University, there are some additional resources and services that are available to MMI students that might be particularly relevant, again, for a program that's housed in innovation. So we do have the Dun&Despondé Innovation Center, and there are various incubators, accelerators. There's a whole collection of services tailored specifically for women in entrepreneurship as well. This would be something that the program offers that isn't mandatory. So if you're someone who really wants to take advantage of these additional resources, you have the opportunity to. And again, this is kind of back to the flexibility that the program offers, and it's how it's up to each individual student to kind of decide how they want to architect their own experience within the program. But these services are fully available through the Dun&Despondé Innovation Center. We have more information on that we'd be happy to share with anyone who wants to learn more as well. The MMIE program is delivered in partnership between the Smith School of Business and the Smith School of Engineering. Same name, different faculties. And that just gives MMIE students access to even more resources. Most of the faculty members who teach on the MMIE program are housed within the business school, but we do have a few faculty members from engineering. And engineering does have a whole collection, a whole constellation of resources, innovation centers that are available to MMIE students as well. So lots to leverage and take advantage of by virtue of that partnership that we have in place. So this, I mean, it's tough to kind of quantify the success of MMIE alumni because what they do is so diverse, but this slide is really just trying to put some numbers around the return on investment that students get. So over the last 5 or 6 years, we have launched over 130 startups directly out of the MMIE program. So those are students who have come in, who have leveraged the resources and everything that they learned in the program to go on and launch their own startups, which is incredible. Over 100 promotions. So that would be more on the corporate innovation, that entrepreneurship side. Students are able to leverage what they learn to drive innovations within their own organizations or within another organization within their sector and industry, and then get promoted based on the incredible work that they do. And over $5 million of funding secured by students who have graduated from the program. So MMI students certainly do get results, but again, the students who are going to get the most out of the program are those who are really step outside their comfort zone, as Juliana said, adopt that growth mindset, and really put themselves in a position to take risks, to learn, and to advocate for themselves, and leveraging all the resources that we do have on offer to our students. So as far as program format goes here, with regards to the delivery, so you can complete this program from remotely, really from anywhere in the world. There are 3 instances where we do require students to be physically on campus here in Kingston, Ontario, in a full-time capacity. So we have a 2-week launching bootcamp session in August, a week-long session in December, and then a week-long session in May. So for those 4 weeks in aggregate, students need to be physically present on Kingston in a full-time capacity. But everything else that we deliver content-wise between those 3 bootcamp sessions can be taken anywhere from the world. So we do have a large cohort of international students who join the program every year. Some of those international students might move to Kingston for the entire year-long duration of the program. They might move to a bigger population center in Canada, like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, and just travel to and from Kingston to participate in the on-site session. Or we have had international students who would just fly into Canada or travel to Canada for the 3 bootcamp sessions and then return to their home country between those bootcamp sessions. So again, this is where the flexibility really comes in, and the fact that the program can be taken by anyone from anywhere in the world, with the exception of those 3 on-site sessions. And there's more information with the specific dates of those on-site sessions on the program website if you want to get a little bit more information there. So when we're not in a bootcamp session, most of the content is delivered asynchronously. So we give students access to the content, whether it's videos or readings, PowerPoint presentations, and they'll navigate their way through that material according to their own schedule, and then they'll work on different individual and team assignments and deliverables. But we still do create more personal, synchronous touch points. So a lot of our faculty members will host virtual office hours. So if you're working your way through a piece of content, you just can't quite wrap your head around it, or maybe there's something that you see in a slide deck that you're particularly interested in, you want to learn more about, we do create the opportunity for you to engage with faculty members in a virtual capacity. So just hop on a Zoom call with them in virtual office hours and chat your way through some content. So while the program is flexible, that does provide that asynchronous part-time delivery ability, we still do create the opportunities for students to connect more directly with their faculty members when they do need that support. And the same goes for the career coaches and the project advisors as well. Those individuals will make themselves available for in-person meetings if kind of the geography makes sense, or they're always available virtually over Zoom as well. So that's kind of the program at a high level. Again, there's a lot more information with regards to the schedule and the courses comprised within the curriculum. All that information, all that detail is available on the program website. So please do take some more time to conduct research on the program in certain areas that you're interested in. But at this point, I'll pass it over to Beth. Hopefully we've convinced at least some of you to move forward with an application, and Beth is going to provide some more context as to what that process consists of. So over to you, Beth.
Thanks, Connor, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. Yeah, at this point, hopefully you might be considering an application, or perhaps you've already started it and they're kind of looking to learn more about the program. In terms of my role, really it's to guide you through the application process. So just like I worked with Wilana, I will be there every step of the way to receive all of the documents that you're submitting, provide feedback, answer your questions. Applicants often have a lot of questions through the process, and it's nice to have someone dedicated to answer those and give you a timely response with that. In terms of the preliminary assessment, really what that entails is your resume and unofficial transcript. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll just have a look and see if you kind of meet the criteria of what we're looking for and what we've kind of outlined throughout the presentation. In terms of the post-assessment, so that would include things like a cover letter, reference, and an interview with Connor. So it is a really engaging application process. You'll have a lot of touch points throughout the way. And for that interview, it's really going to be more of a discussion around your goals and just making sure that the program is in line with what you're hoping for, so that you're able to get the outcome that you'd expect from the program, and that it does make sense with your career trajectory. In terms of my contact information, it is listed on the screen. So perhaps you have some questions and you're not ready to quite formally apply yet. Please feel free to reach out to me. Just send me an email and I'll be getting back to you right away. Awesome. In terms of the admission requirements, so our work experience, as Connor's kind of noted, does range in terms of years of experience. So we have candidates from right out of their undergrad, kind of direct entry candidates, up to several years of experience. Same around education. It does really vary there as well. So not all of our candidates have a business degree, for example. We accept many disciplines of undergraduate degrees. So don't feel like you're self-selecting out just because you don't have a business degree coming into the program. In terms of kind of what we're looking for, though, to come through in your application is really that innovation and entrepreneurial experience. So it really is those like projects, activities, extracurriculars, anything that you can kind of show us to show that that's really what you're passionate about, because that's a really important quality of the program. In terms of kind of like the more soft skills that we are looking for and kind of assessing throughout the process, so your strong communication skills, ability to execute, passion for change, thriving in a diverse environment, of course, very important because your team members are going to be quite different from you. You're going to have a lot of different perspectives to share with each other, and along with that, being an effective and supportive team member. So because team-based learning is such a big component of the program, it's really important that you do have strong skills in that area.
Thank you very much, Beth. And that wraps up the formal portion of our webinar presentation today. I don't see any questions in the chat there, but please do feel free to type in any last minute questions that you might have. But in closing, just wanted to provide, again, the contact information. You have Beth's email address on the screen here, so please do jot that down if you want to reach out to Beth to talk about your candidacy for the program. She's always happy to conduct a free preliminary assessment to see if the program is the right fit for you, and if it's not, to maybe give you some homework, some steps that you can take over the next few years to put yourself in a position to qualify for a future intake of the program. That's also great at helping you navigate maybe towards another program within our portfolio that might be a better fit. There's also this QR code on the screen, and that is just to fill out a form to receive an email from Colin, our recruitment advisor, to have more of a high-level consultation about the program. So lots of different channels, lots of ways to get in touch with our team. I don't see any questions in the chat here. So I just want to, again, thank Beth for taking the time to support the application process portion of the presentation. Obviously, another big shout out to you, Liana, for taking the time to join us today. Alex is the unsung hero of today's webinar. You didn't see or hear from her, but she made sure that everything ran smoothly on the back end. So thank you very much, Alex. And of course, the biggest thank you to our virtual audience members, especially those of you who hung on right through to the very end. We hope that you enjoyed the presentation, and we hope that it was informative. And again, if you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Beth's email address, the QR code, you can reach out to myself or you, Liana, directly on LinkedIn as well. We're always more than happy to engage. So with that, we'll just go ahead and wrap up today, and just want to thank you all again for taking the time. Bye for now.